Hey everyone, and welcome to day 2 tutorial. So this day I made this gift of the embellishment tackle box, and what I did was I just got this little, it's actually a craft box, but you could use a tackle box or anything you found at, like the dollar shop or Kmart or anything, and I just filled it with any of my 3D kind of embellishments that I had in my stash and a few things that I'd purchased as extras to go in the kit here, and I then decorate the top of it so that it's a nice little box that she can have on her desk and open up and dig into when she needs something for her layouts. So I've started there with opening a box, one of my embellishment boxes that have got some ribbons in it. Now I'm going through one with buttons in it, and I don't like it sped up enough because obviously I'm just picking embellishments and you don't need to see 100% slow, real time, because sometimes it was a bit of a thought process to find exactly what I wanted in these, especially these large boxes. You can see there's quite a few buttons in here. So there's these wood veneer buttons that are bigger that I got from a craft fair here in Canberra last year. And I just thought they would be cute. So basically my idea was anything girly and anything gold, aqua, pink, black and white, because they are her colours that she's loving, and because she's got 2 little girls. So I didn't want to give her anything, boyish and skull-like or anything, because that's obviously something she's not likely to use. So if you are making this to gift to someone, then think about the recipient and what they like and what they're more likely to use, rather than giving away stuff that or packaging up stuff to give as a gift that might not be so ideal and then sit in their stash for months and years to come perhaps. So just going through my resin here, some resin flowers and hearts and stars, and I just put them all, so I'm sort of segregating them in those little containers. By all means, you could use a photo box to do this gift. That way they could then use it for photos or embellishments like you gift to them. It just depends on what you have. Don't go and break the bank by going out and buying the most biggest, craziest, outlandish storage container. Something more authentic and useful is what's going to be used, 1 by yourself to fill and 2 by them to reuse in there or to display in their craft room. So this is a flower embellishment container, and I'm just going through and picking some of the smaller ones that will fit in that little section of the craft box. And there's really no right way or wrong way to do it. Basically, just go through what you have, go through what you've purchased, and just pick something that you feel it's going to go with the color combo or the the theme of what you're doing. You could definitely do this for Christmas. You could do it for Easter, Halloween, anything that you have embellishments for. Obviously, you can get different size containers too, which means then obviously this one's got the 10 little containers, which means that I had to find 10 different-ish kind of things to fit in there. So far I got the ribbon bows, I've got some resin, so I'm doing wood veneer now, I've got the flowers, got flair, got buttons, and so far I've got buttons and charms separate in 2, but then I end up finding something else and putting the buttons together and filling that section with something else. So I've got these wood veneer little rectangle pieces. I've got words printed on them. They're like tiny word stickers, but in wood veneer form, and they were really fun to use. So I'm sharing some of them, and some charm creations, some hearts, and I actually find 3 that go together really nicely, which means that either she can use them on one layout, or she can use them in one project, or she could just use them separately. As always with charm creations, there is multiple ways to use them, and they're just not, you have to use them in this combination or anything like that at all. So just cutting down some enamel dots. I was going to call them wood veneer. That is not the truth at all. Some enamel dots in the same kind of colour combination. Some of these lovely black and white cameras. And some of the pink and the gold. Just to have a little bit of goodness. The thing is, Corinne, often she scrapbooks on the lounge or the couch, or she'll take it. I've seen one time she took it outside and was watching the children play, and she was scrapbooking out there. So this would be cool to just add some paper or some Project Life cards to, and then you could embellish and maybe, add a little bit of a doily or something like that. But you wouldn't really need too much more because the colours go together well. You could make a cluster easily out of all this goodness. So hopefully it is helpful, and hopefully you have a try, because this idea was pretty fun to make. Not only just to gather all these awesome pretty supplies. I always love going through my stash, but also because it's nice to gift to people. And I just think it's a fun thing to try and work out what goes together and how it all works. So just moving all those buttons over, just having a look. So some of my embellishments like these are in these photo boxes from my retreat last year, and I've kept them in there because I'm liking being able to reach them off my Rastcog trolley. Just added a bit more resin in there, even though it was buttons, but that's okay. And then I made these tassels. One day I just had a spree of sitting on the couch and watching some TV, and I just made tassels. So there's many tutorials on how to make them, but basically what I did was used embroidery thread, and some of them I have split the thread and others I've just kept the thread together, wound it around my fingers, tied the top where the loop is so that there's a bit where you can attach it to your page, and then wind it around the middle and then cut the bottom. So that really doesn't go to make sense unless you've seen someone make it. If you're really wanting me to show you, then I can, but otherwise there's a few tutorials, and if I have a moment of good memory, then I'll remember to link some of them down below. So I just opened this little pack here from Cocoa Vanilla Studios, and it's got lovely good 3D goodness. So I put some of the, like a tassel and other bits and pieces in of the other little parts of the tackle box, but then I also picked up all those sequins and put them in there, and then I remembered I had this little sequin pack from the stamp spot and added that to that little pocket, and that filled up all of the embellishment boxes. So now I'm just going to go and embellish the front. So I use that doily from the kit because I've got it on my desk now, and it was the perfect size to fit on that craft box, and a good way to start the layering of the embellishment cluster and the goodness and prettiness on the front. So I'm opening the same, what is it? It's the lovely, what does it say? It tells me, I can't really, it went too quick, I can't read it. It's from Cocoa Vanilla anyway, and it was the ephemera pack that went with that 3D goodness pack. So I'm just going through and looking at the die cuts to see if there's anything I want to use. I don't want to add too much on there because I am gluing it down. It's not, you can't take them off and use them, but you definitely can. I would display this in my craft room, but each to their own. We're not all going to do the same thing, but it'd be nice to display it and have some things in there that you could easily reach, and once they started being depleted or they ran out, then you can definitely dig into your own stash and refill it. So just going to add that little scalloped border, and then I've cut down this fishtail banner just to cut off that colour, make it more of a tiny word sticker kind of look, and add in this heart. I did want to go with the flowers, but it just wasn't working for the way it was looking. I just didn't like that look, so instead went with this heart, and I'm just going to add the rest of the embellishments on here. Basically I'm just using it, making it like a scrapbooking layout, thinking about there's no photo, but you can see that the doily has started that cluster, and that is how I'm going to build the cluster with so I've got some resin hearts and this little, it's like a, I was going to say it's like felt, but I think it's actually velour. That heart, that flower, that pink flower, it feels like it's made out of velour fabric. And then there's this metal butterfly charm. That heart gets lost on the background, so I just am outlining it with a scribbly doodly border, and then I add a border on that tiny word too, just to draw in the black, but also outline it. And I'm just doing a dotted one on this scallop border. So if you ever feel like the embellishment goes on to that cluster but it's getting lost a little, then grab out a pen and outline it, dotted line, dashed line, whatever works, then that's going to make it stand out more rather than it being lost in the background. So trying to make that ribbon bow work, but it doesn't, so instead it does go with the colour combination really well, so I put it inside the box, and then I'm just going to finish this off, and then with a little bit of stuff, I've got the butterfly and then a label. I'm just going to stick on here. I'm going to stick this here. So I do end up getting out a brush marker, a Pitt pen, and adding the words create. I was going to write create all the pretty things is what I was going to write with thickers on there. And I just thought, I'm going to have to get a small thicker, and then it's just not going to stand out in a way that I wanted. So instead I write create with and I say it in inverted commas, scripty writing, and that's the end of that. So stay tuned for close-ups, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.